tuning in to TNJ Radio Show.
All right, can you hear me okay? Can you hear me, Will?
Yep, sounding good.
Can you hear the music?
Sounds great.
All right. Here we are again with another show, TNJ Radio. Bear with us a little bit while we get into our groove. All right. It's going to be a great show today. We're going to talk about, should American schools teach critical race theory? Also, we're going to get into some other topic. Just bear with us. We got to get in our groove. Let people get in. Make sure the spelling's all right. If you can, hit a comment. Let us know the spelling's all right. That's what I'm drinking on today. I got this truly on deck if it gets crazy. Yes, yes. Also, we're going to make it a little fun. Who's a better rapper? Pusha T or Beanie Siegel? The truth. Won't you chime in on that if you like hip hop? We like to have fun on the show. Ain't that right, William?
Absolutely. Yep.
And also, like I said, if you want to call in 517-387-1664. Matter of fact, right now, share this information, share it to people so they can get on this call.
Press 2.
Share it right now.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3.
All right.
2, 1.
My name is Laraun J, a.k.a. Johnny.
Got William A. Thomas here in the building. What you got?
Now, Will, you're having a little difficulty. Can't hear you.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Can't hear you right now, so you got a little thing going on there. But can you hear me? Can you give me thumbs up?
Yeah.
All right. Do we need another intermission? Because it's about to get crazy. So the people on here, definitely share this right here. You're going to want to. And definitely call in 517-387-1664 today. We got a phone. We're going to take some phone calls. But before we're going to tell our thoughts, get into our groove. Definitely. So, yeah. So we're going to talk about, should American schools teach what is it? Critical race theory. That's what it is. So we got that on the banner. So also what we're going to talk about here is right here. You heard about that. DC Sports Bar fire security vendor after viral video dragging a black woman. So we're going to discuss that if you want to tell your views on that right there. Also, again, like I said, we're going to talk about who is the greatest rapper right there, Pusha T or Beanie Siegel, right there. So you can hear me all right. So, just to get into it. Now, back in the day when I'm growing up, I was an avid reader. Now, before, let me check. Will, your information? Can you talk to me?
How's it sound now?
Can hear you? Can't hear you, man. All right. So, I was an avid reader growing up. Grew up in a we could say impoverished neighborhood. Braddock, for the people who don't know, got to representing Philly right now, but I digress. So, I was an avid reader. But I read like fun things. Like I read sports books. I read a lot of biographies, if you will. Maybe it's because I was dreaming on getting a way out, and I wanted to see if there was a way I can get out. So I read Jackie Robinson's book. I read Bo Jackson, Charles Barkley. That was my favorite guy at the time. Now, when I start progressing and getting to high school, and then when I start getting some formal education in college, I took a class because I wanted to know my history. And in that situation, I took a African American psychology class, and I think that was my beginning stages of getting woke. Now, I didn't know this stuff. I used to question certain things when I was in school. Why are we learning this? I wasn't interested, right? But when I got to the school and college, it enlightened me. I remember the first book that they gave us. It was now in the chat, the comments, you can tell me the author if you read this, but Breaking the Chains of Psychological Slavery. Now, it woke me up. That was the beginning stages of the critical thinking that was created in my life. Couldn't tell me nothing. I'm around people and I'm pretending I knew more than them, and you couldn't tell me anything. And then I read some other books. And in the class, there were some white people in the class. We talked about all types of theories. The correlation from slavery until now and how that changed our way of life. There was a particular situation in the book when it talks about why African American men were getting married, and the buck breaking, if you will. Now, once I got out of there, you couldn't tell me anything. So I'm like, I bring up the book, like I read this book. It's in this book right here. Until one guy that I know, he was from Africa, and he said to me after I ran it, because I was on my rant, and this was about 2008. This is around election time. Go Obama, and I was on one then. Bear with me. And I told him, I said, listen, the reason why Black people are dealing with what they're dealing with is because of slavery. Now he paused and he said to me, did you look at the statistics of marriage after slavery? And then, I kept on going. I didn't hear him. I just kept on talking. And then he said it again. And I paused and I looked down and said, oh, okay. So I Googled it. Come to find out, after slavery, we had a high marriage, high marriage rate. And that changed the way I thought at that point. at that point, I was like, I think we need to research the researchers sometimes. But one thing, there you go, Will. But one thing I realized, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And also I found is winners get to rewrite history. Think about that. I'm going to say it again. Winners get to rewrite history.
Facts.
So, for you guys who's checking this out on YouTube, hit them likes up. Hit those likes up because that helps the algorithm. Make a comment, share. And also what we want to you to do is call the number we have at 517-387-1664. Now we're going to ask a lot of questions today. There's a lot of questions that are coming up about this particular situation. You're going to ask yourself, is math racist? Is it white supremacy? What was the bankers doing in Jekyll Island when they created the banking system? And is that racist? What about redlining? The school to pipeline system. Do we need critical race theories in school? Is it important? Is it going to get us to where we need to go as a culture? So if you're a teacher on here, we definitely want to hear from you. If you have kids, do you want your kids learning at an early age? If you don't have kids, definitely give us a call. All right? Now, there's a study right now that about Black students nationwide in public schools. They make up 31% of the public schools. And a lot of them have been arrested in school or suspended. Black preschoolers are about 3 times more likely to receive suspensions in school than white kids. Is that something that we need to talk about? I remember coming up, and a lot of the kids that I played with in the neighborhood, I know a lot of people from sports. That got us together, playing Little League sports. You know, a lot of the kids started to separate around junior high. I don't know what that is about, but maybe it's because we have a little more freedom. Maybe because it could have been the situation with the single parent home versus 2-parent home. I don't know. But I started to notice that kids stopped coming to school. Or if they did come to school, they were cut up. We get to high school, less and less people start coming. Now, the graduation rate for white people, and I'm gonna pick Pennsylvania, 89%.
So 89?
Pennsylvania is 68% black. Let's look at Michigan. 82% whites are graduating into 60% black. What is that problem? What's going on there? And let me put on the screen what we're actually talking about here, just for the people new coming on here. All right. So think about this. Does race matter in school? Should we talk about that? I want to play a video of the Tales of Two Schools right now. Check this out.
425.
My name is Jackson Langford. I'm 18-year-old and I'm a senior at McLean High School.
For academic subjects, I'm in Advanced Placement Literature,
English,
Advanced Placement U.S. Government,
Biology,
and Comparative Government,
Art,
Advanced Placement Music Theory,
Health,
Geosystems for Science,
and Algebra.
Men's Chorus,
What's it?
Leadership, and Technical Theater. So I drive and I get here half an hour before school starts every day, just for the fun of it. Trying to park here, if you come in at normal time, is really awful. You end up parking like half a mile away.
A lot of students who go to a school all the way across town have to catch 2 and 3 buses in the subway just to get to school. And I think that, you know, if we have to travel that far just to get education, then we should be able to travel for free.
The kids here are motivated in just about everything. They're motivated to even learn, which is scary to hear for a high school kid. They're motivated to succeed in sports, extracurriculars, anything.
I think they lost the will to learn. A lot of them, they just like don't find school interesting no more because they don't have the power to do anything, and they say so in the classroom.
This is our auditorium theater. We have lights, standard light sound. It's not particularly high tech, but we have a nice system.
Here, go to the metal detector. Like, they use this to try to, you know, keep school safe, but obviously it doesn't work because, like, even when someone walks through and it beeps, like, they don't even search them or anything. They just say, okay, walk back through, empty your pockets. That's all they do.
This is our new studio. It's one of 3 high schools in the county who has it. Hey, orchestra, can you start playing? All kids. It's all run. It's all performed. It's all produced by kids.
Well, one thing with these walls, like they really need to be repainted because of the graffiti. As you can see here, they tried to repaint it, but it doesn't blend in. You can actually tell they just like really just gave up on repainting the walls. So
Every teacher in this school buys their own school supplies. And it's actually very sad because, like, the school system should have money to, you know, provide for those school supplies for students, but they don't. And the teachers have to come out of their paychecks just to, you know, be able to support their students.
Yes. Think about that. All right, let me see. You there, Mr. William?
Ron, can you hear me?
Where's your? Can't hear you.
Ah, man.
Is it
Having
me,
technical difficulties.
or is it a conspiracy? So, does CRT have anything to do with it? Right. So, Derek Bell was the founder of CRT. Now, it was surprising to me to know that he was from Pittsburgh, from the Hill District. He was a civil rights attorney, right? And he came up with these theories, and this is just my opinion. All right. Okay, so, okay, thank you. He said we can hear the both of you. Okay, so I couldn't hear him for some reason. So you can get back on, Mr. Will. People can hear you. I just can't.
Had me worried there.
This is gonna be odd. Let me put you on another my other computer, man. Okay, so do we have any callers calling in yet? Because we can go to the call.
Yeah, hold on.
Bear with us 1 minute.
Okay, area code 314-381. You're on the air. Three 381. You're live on the show.
It will just continue to do it. I'm gonna work on my end. All right, so just so they can hear you.
Yeah, as I said, I think your mic is muted. I can't hear you I can't hear you here nor on Blog Talk.
Just see. All right, caller, can you hear me? Let's try this. 248-878. Can you hear me?
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. You're live on the show.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good evening, gentlemen. How you all doing?
Fantastic. So, what do you think about the topic?
I've been listening to you guys.
Okay. Well, first, where are you calling from?
Well, it's an interesting topic. Definitely, I'm calling from Michigan.
Okay. So, what do you think about, what we're talking about in regards to critical race theory?
So, I'm by no means an expert.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what I can say is it depends on the motive of the people that are calling for the elimination of critical race theory.
Okay. Well, what kind of? Okay, so you said as far as the motivation's a big thing.
For instance, myself, I grew up in West Africa, and I'm of the I'm of the opinion that if the kids have been taught at least the real life scenarios of what they see on TV, like in the light of the event that happened last summer during the whole George Floyd, killing, and all the other social justice issues that came up.
Okay.
I think it's important that educators should be able to explain what is going on to kids, because they will learn these things regardless, whether it's at home or when they are outside. So I think it's important that at least some element of those things have been, at least the kids should still be educated on them. But I understand the other side of the coin when they say, well, we are all one we are all one. We shouldn't dwell on what has happened in the past. Let's move forward.
Okay. Caller, do you have your YouTube turned up?
It's important that we at least try and talk about what is happening in the present day. Yeah, I think I do.
Okay. Let me ask you this. if and it's, I completely understand on both ends. On one end, we are, looking at different things in the past. But with critical race theory, when you look at that, what is the goal that you're seeing being, put out for it?
Well, in my view, I think the goal is to at least educate, especially children that are of African American descent, that this is the history of what has happened in the country.
Okay, so
and these are the things that they might face as they move forward, whether in college or even when they get to corporate America. They might see some element of, differences.
okay, and you said you're from Ethiopia, right?
No, I'm not. I grew up in West Africa, Nigeria.
Nigeria. I'm sorry about that. I know that I can get in big trouble in some areas in regards to that. I know that unfortunately a lot of times Ethiopians and Nigerians aren't always on in the best light together.
Well, everyone just want to claim superiority. It's just a conflict.
Okay. Can you hear us okay, Ron? Hold on. I think you're muted.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I had some technical difficulties, but we're back. All right.
Okay. So we have a caller out of Michigan. He's from Nigeria, and I don't know how much you had heard. He was saying that he understands as far as the educational part of looking back at the past, and as far as how it can affect their future.
Okay, so you're for the critical race theory. Sorry, can't even talk. You're for that, Ezekiel? He might not can hear me.
At least some elementary, part of it. Not necessarily. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay, great. Okay, so do you have, if you don't mind me asking, do you have any kids?
Not yet, but I do have nephews and nieces and goddaughter.
Mm-hmm. Now, have you ever read the book Critical Race Theory that was written in 1995?
No, sir, I haven't.
Okay. All right. Will, you have any more questions for him?
I'm just interested to know, I guess, if some of the things that were on there or had been taught were not taught, do you think that it would help or hurt, everyone as a whole? And what about the Black community in particular?
well, without fully knowing everything that was taught, but I think information should still be shared, regardless whether they are.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Whether we are in support of it or not, I think we should still learn.
Okay, so you're saying that it should be mandated to learn those things? Is that what he's saying? I really can. It's like a delay on it.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. There's a delay going on, but
they should be encouraged to learn those things. Yes.
Okay. Well, I definitely have to push back on that. I don't think you should be using taxpayers' dollars to do that. When you have right now,
for your time.
you have 80% of teachers are white women, and I believe that that's something that the family should teach your kids. That when you open up that can of worms, that's when you start having different theories with the gay rights movement, and they're going to be forcing that down your throat, and obviously this was birthed with the feminist movement. That's just my opinion. What you think about that, Will?
Yeah, I think that a lot of times what ends up happening is we end up diverting off of whatever the original intention or goal is. So let's say that the goal is racial reconciliation, or to move things in a position of where let's say the goal is to get rid of racism, which we know that that's never going to happen, of course, but let's say that was the goal. The question is teaching this in the school at that age, is it going to help move us closer or further away from that goal? And that's what I always look at.
You still there?
Looks like we might have lost them there, but
okay. We appreciate your call, though. Sorry about that. I was going through technical difficulties. I guess everybody could hear me out there, but we're back. Bring up some life into the show. But we definitely appreciate you, Ezekiel, for giving us a call from Michigan. Definitely respect his opinion. Right here we are with objective perspective. There's no right or wrong answer on our end. We just wanted to have this conversation because Will and I was discussing this last week, and what we noticed that brought us to his attention that Florida banned this theory in schools. Someone online?
No.
Okay. Florida banned it, and a lot of Republican states are trying to ban it as well. So we wanted to get your thoughts on that. Like I said, again, my thoughts is I feel like the parents should teach that. They continue to, and for that, just to say this, I just feel like when you're in school and it's a mixed class, they're just teaching you to look down or look up on a different person in your classroom. I just don't care for that. What do you think about that? Again, I just heard what you were saying, but reiterate it if you can.
I mean, just succinctly to the point. The main thing is, are we going to end up getting further or closer away from the goal of, either getting rid of racism, or, are we going to be in a better position in race relations? Those are the two end goals that I look at.
Okay. So are you saying, just ignore learning about race
altogether in schools? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, you're not going to be able to get rid of it because we are what we are. We're from different parts of the world, different parts of the country. Black, white, Chinese, whatever. We should definitely pay attention to our culture and look at the history. But at the same time, the question I also look at is, are we looking at a complete, type of look at history? Is it, going to be a bias? And at the end, is that bias going to end up, leading us in a particular direction?
Now, respect to Derek Bell, the founder of this movement in the 70s. Now, you got to understand that time it was civil rights was needed, correct?
Yep, absolutely.
So I think it was a good move to do, honestly. Learning about the theories of racism. I mean, we have, white supremacy does exist, yes?
Yep.
Right. So I think it was important and imperative to learn that in the 70s when he put this curriculum in place.
Yeah.
So my question is, how is that affecting racial relations if they're just learning about the theory of it? It's not, you know what I mean? And quite frankly, this stuff did happen in history.
Right. And, it did happen. But what I've noticed is a lot of times we're also leaving out other important parts. What are the strides that were made on both ends? On the from those who would be the oppressor, mainly we'll just say the Europeans, were they all, participating in this racist structure, and what were the Black people doing to be able to make strides further also?
Well, what area are you talking about? For the people who trying to get on, we having technical difficulties. What's the number? I will take the number off, but you can go on YouTube and go in the description box, and you can get on that way. All right. So, okay. So I'm sorry. All right. So, so you're saying that you don't want it in schools right now?
I want as far as history, I think that at different ages, there should be different levels in regards to history, and it should be a more complete picture of history. And then, as far as the stuff in the critical race theory, that should be something that's more so left to either older children or, maybe college, or, through the parents.
Okay. All right. So we have a caller. Just bear with us one moment. All right. So that's your answer. Now, I would say this before I get in, before we put our caller on. I would say this. I feel like they have to change what they teach, because if it's not going to get you ahead and get you out of what you call white supremacy, I don't think we should teach it. I do agree with what you're saying. I think we need to, if we're going to learn anything about history, I think we need to learn how the political structure works. We need political science, civics, and different things like that. Now, I also feel like if your kids don't know how to read at a certain level in school, because that's one of the main things is a lot of people don't read on their grade level. I don't think this should be taught, So real quick, we're going to get our caller on. 1 second. Hey,
what's up, y'all?
Fawn, how's it going? How's it going?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Awesome subject you guys got, man. It's awesome.
What part of the world you in? We heard you've been doing a lot of traveling.
Hey, man. Right now, I'm in Tampa, Florida. Represent. All my Floridians, in the house. So all my Seminoles, all my Semites, they're not going to want to teach that. They're really not going to hear that, because we're in Seminole country. That's a Semite. You know what a Semite is, right?
Tell us.
Educate us.
Right? They try to call us anti-Semitic, but we're the Semites. So that's getting into it right there. I guess I'm not allowed to talk about that, right? According to your subject matter, they're not going to want me to talk about the fact that I drove down to Florida. I'm in Seminole country, and I found out that I'm a Semite. I guess that's banned. I can't talk about that.
Hey, you know I don't know. We might have to delete this, man. They about to make that illegal in Florida. Yeah. So what you think? So what you think about the subject?
Man, it's tough for me as a history teacher to separate our history from whatever they're calling this agenda, this critical race theory.
Mm-hmm.
They're making it as if it's something different than American history. I don't even like using those terms because it puts a negative spin on what is traditional American history.
Mm-hmm.
The problem we're having is that curriculum, no matter what country you are, curriculum is chosen. And it's chosen for you to understand it. But when you get old enough and mature enough to become a man, you learn that there are some things that you're supposed to overstand.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we're not ever supposed to stand under one curriculum. This is a falsity that's been brainwashed to people, to all groups of people, not just our group of people. Even in Germany, when they were trying to make the Jews look bad, they were putting out negative propaganda and negative curriculum in the schools. So basically what's going on now is we're countering negative propaganda that's been put into schools for 300 to 400 years. Okay. So
when you say we, who's we?
When I say we, I mean the people who are struggling to help unveil hidden lies in the curriculum. That would be champions. So when I say we, I'm talking about brave men and women who are brave enough to look into history so that kids are not being taught lies, because I don't want any lies into the curriculum, into the school, man. Even if it benefits me, I don't want a lie that benefits me either. I don't want that. Our kids deserve the truth and find out what really went on in America, so we can make America.
But don't you think that's the up to the parents, as opposed to a school system to teach you? Because again, you have 80% women teaching these kids, and you know what I mean.
Well, don't you think it's your job as an educator? You went to college to get a degree. Don't you think it's your job and your responsibility to teach accurately? Why would that be on the parents?
Well, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. I don't, and I thank you for your comments, Fawn. It's just an objective perspective here, but I just feel like that's not going to get you to where you need to go to fight white supremacy. It's just going to get you angry and back off and say that you can't make it because of this system that was created in 1600. You know what I'm saying?
I have a point for that.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
For instance, I'll give you an example. Like we talk about Black economics, okay? During segregation ended, okay, we started riding on the front of the white buses, but the truth of it is that also in doing that, we abandoned our buses. That's economic history. So if there was a Black bus company and everyone ran away from the Black bus company, if we don't know that happened, then we think that we just are unsuccessful business people. We had poor business practices, or maybe there was poor marketing. But what really happened was the marketing was pushed to ride the white buses. And so that we abandoned our own bus companies. That's a financial history lesson. Because if we would continue to support our own buses, and granted, so the few people that wanted to ride on the front of the white buses should have been allowed, but they pushed the campaign so hard that we abandoned Black economics. We no longer supported our own bus companies. If we don't teach that we need to support our own,
so you want a white woman, all due respect, you want a white woman to teach your kids that?
I want them to say practice what they preach, because they've been saying they don't see color. But But now all of a sudden, when it comes to have a fair curriculum, they see color. That's a double standard.
Well, so
Say,
real quick.
Finish. You can't say I don't see color and teach this white curriculum. And then when it comes time to correct the errors in the curriculum, all of a sudden you see color. That's a double standard.
Now let me just interject this in here. So I'm gonna name a couple names: Kim Crenshaw, Derek Bell, Sonoran Delgado, Ganir. Now, one of the things that you guys, who can tell me which one of those names are different from the others?
That's a good one.
It's going to be one of them. It's Derek Bell.
Derek Bell, baseball player?
No, he was one of the.
He's from Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
from the Hill.
From Pittsburgh. He's one of the original architects of critical race theory. He is the only black man, that we're talking about. Now, the majorities are either women or non-black women, because what ended up happening with the other names that I'm mentioning, they ended up taking this and moving into a feminism type of agenda. So that's where it starts moving to the intersectionality thing and, and so on. I'm pretty sure, I'm just preaching to the choir, and I know you know about all that stuff already. But the reason I'm saying it kind of goes back to what Laraun was saying, is that this stuff is going to be taught in a way, it may not be taught by the people that you want to teach it. So, for example, if I'm a white person, I can say some of the things that are in critical race theory in a way to where it makes me feel superior, and it makes me sound superior to, that black student. I can end up, kind of making them feel that way, like, oh, poor you, sorry that you're black. It's the same message. It's the same, thing, but it's like, who's teaching it?
Well, I think that's part of we seem to think that we can separate the educator from the education when the trauma that's happened to us has specifically been brought upon by the educator. So that makes a huge difference. Like in certain schools, if you have, let's say, a 70% African-American population, but you have a 90% European teachers. Now we know that the union's in there. We can't go change the school system, but are we bringing in people to properly train these teachers to be able to facilitate their job in the correct way, so where they can teach an African-American student African-American history? That's a big problem. I'll give another example. This one's quick. We were in a teacher training. This is a teacher training. This is the summertime. Okay. I'm at the school district. I'm not going to say the school district. Okay. We were figuring out how to get the kids to respond better to the curriculum. Okay. To the lesson plans. One lesson plan was specifically talking about the Great Migration. Now, this was a teacher training other teachers to say, okay, what way could you teach this Great Migration to get the kids' attention? Great question. Okay. These teachers were at their table talking with each other. None of them could figure out a really great way to teach the Great Migration so that it would stick in the kids' heads. Okay. Because they couldn't see the Great Migration. Excuse me, there were not too many African-American teachers in there. They didn't see the Great Migration from the same perspective I did. So their answers were all like, okay, talk about the different cities and, what manufacturing companies were in each different city and that kind of thing. When it got to me, you know what I said?
What's that?
I asked the question. I said, why did all these African people migrate up north in the first place? Because now we had to start looking at, let me get my paper out because I wrote it down now. 1890, Wilmington, North Carolina, race riots. All those blacks, they burnt down their community. 1906, Atlanta, Georgia, race riots. They burnt down the community. 1917, St. Louis, East St. Louis. 6,000 people fled from their homes being burnt down. DC, the Red Summer, you got Knoxville, Tennessee, Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Chicago. We can go on and on and on. These are things that were not covered in the curriculum, that when you ask yourself, why did all these people move up north? Because their cities were burnt down. So it's really hard to understand what's going on unless you actually talk about what really happened. So
okay,
now,
so here's the thing. This theory was based off of theories that you can't get ahead due to the circumstances of being Black in America, right?
Yeah.
So how is that helping us get out of a certain situation that we're in? Yes, you can teach about this stuff, but what about solutions on how to get out? You know what I mean? Like the thing that you alluded to. So
I agree.
I just think, and I love your opinion. You know this better than we do. It's just just give you a little bit of pushback. But I think it's better to learn because we've been learning about slavery since, we all been in school. But guess what? We only start paying attention to the political process now when Trump was in office.
Yeah.
So what was more important? Because we knew all this, we were angry. It made us go back and not support any system. So now we're like, hold on, wait. I want you to be angry, but you need to vote. We didn't even know the process of doing that.
Right. I agree with you on that part, Lauren, as far as to say that we need solutions. We don't need to just point out the problems. We need solutions. And so I'm agreeing that we have to do more than just point out the issues. So if the critical race theory just points out that the white people are supremacists right now, they're on top of us, and there's nothing we can do about it, I don't agree with that, because that's putting us under a curriculum. I overstand all curriculum. So we need to identify what happened, but then look at how we can go about changing it. You know what I mean? Looking at the mistakes that we made.
Because here's the thing, and you're right. Every civil rights gain was a gain of white interest as well, right?
Yes.
If you look at, and I see people in the queue, just bear with us 1 second. But if you look at Lincoln, what did Lincoln say? Republicans is big on saying they freed the slaves, but he basically said, and you can help me. Right, it's about the Union. It ain't about Black people. So if being the slave is still in the Union, we're going to do that. Right. So then you have Black Wall Street. I talked about that before. Now people don't want to tell history. Yes, all the stuff that happened, they kicked them out of there. A lot of people was murdered. And they moved, but they sued them. Went to the Supreme Court, and they restored Black Wall Street. And what took Black Wall Street out was the white interest of desegregation, because they figured they can get money from Black people. So we started at that time in the 50s, started giving our money to them. That was their interest. That's why they was excited about doing that. True?
White ice is cold.
Yeah.
Right. So, I just think this has to be another method. And I just feel like, a lot of people are going back to homeschooling.
Yeah. Well,
we need to get back to. Go ahead.
My question is, I got a question about this critical race theory. So at the end of the day, okay, once the information is assimilated or passed out and talked about, what are the solutions that this theory is providing? Is it just strictly we're stuck in this situation? Because when you just look at history, honestly, history gives you the answers. So I'm kind of confused about why we're stuck on the name of this guy's theory. For instance, I'll give you an example. You have the race riots I just talked about. Okay. On top of that, though, you have, for instance, the Morale. Okay, before slavery ended, they had the Morale Act, the Land Act, which there were no Black people in Congress. So $30,000 of land was given to each state to build a college. Now, the infrastructure of this country was was established by the colleges, right? Because when you have a college, then you just say, okay, this college is going to focus on engineering, or this college is going to focus on technology. Now that city becomes an engineering city or a technology city, and it spreads out. That's how the economics grew in our country, is by them giving this land to these white men to establish colleges in every single state. This happened while slavery was still in effect. Not only that, they had the Homestead Act. Now, the Homestead Act was also right before slavery ended, giving immigrants free land. So when slavery ended, and you had 40 acres and a mule that they never got. So you have the Morrill Act, which gave land for colleges. Then you had the Homestead Act, which gave personal land. So when the slaves got out, we're looking like, okay, these people need land. So to me, it's like you see that how we were left out, and you see the solution is right there. Not only that, we had the Asian Exclusion Act, which was the 1860 something. Okay, then they turned around 100 and something years later and just did a new one last year. So when you look at history, the answers are there. They can give an act specifically for Asians, but they're refusing to give an act directly for Africans. There's no wish-washy there. It's just simple that they're not given any acts specifically that name Africans. History is shown. So when you look at that, where's the confusion?
I agree.
Critical race theory?
I think there's a difference between theory and history. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, but
so you're right about knowing the history.
It says that they're not giving us anything. Every time we come up with a real problem we have, they cover it up with a fake act or an act that really comes back and doesn't even really benefit us. That's what we need to be talking about, the fact that they're not really solving the issues.
And you're right, because the this theory started in the legal field, you know, because it's a civil rights attorney. So I totally agree with what you're saying about that. What you gonna say, Will? And after you say it, we got to get another call on.
Okay. And just real quick, and I know you'll be listening on, Fawn. One of the things that they're doing in regards to the solution aspect with the critical race theory, it's more so dependent on the benevolence of the white people rather than the self-sufficiency of the black people or whatever minority group. So that's one of the things that I have against it, because instead of it saying, all right, well, including ways for us to lift ourselves up, it's basically saying, you know, hey, we're the powerful white people. If we let you, we'll give you some of our power, and hopefully, you know, you can get up or whatever. And if you're in a position of power, typically people in a position of power rarely give it up.
I would like to overstand the critical race theory, not understand it.
Mm-hmm.
We need to overstand it so we can figure out how to get over it. Not understand it, so continue standing under it and feel like we're under them and they're on a higher plane than us. I don't agree with that. I love y'all, gentlemen, and I feel your angle on that.
Appreciate
good stuff, Fawn, man. We love your take on it, man. You know more than this than we do, so
I appreciate it. Guys, have a good one. I'm listening in.
All right.
It's good stuff right there. On a sharp guy.
Yes, sir.
All right, got another caller coming in.
Let me see. We got a legend.
Swanee. Yes.
Yes. What's up, fellas?
What's good?
See you salivating over there.
Oh
you
man.
Get in.
For the last 20 minutes, I'm like, I gotta get in there. But nah, man, great topic, man. Fawn was great. Fawn's always on point, man. You guys are all always on point. I always like to hear different perspectives on every subject, man. It's very important. But just diving right into it, man, the critical race theory, man. See, here we go with this lingo again, critical race theory. How about just the past or a past that has never been taught? You know what I mean? And that's the true issue there. It's our past that has never been taught. Now, is it our fault that we got to hurry up and try to find a solution? No, it's not our fault. We got to be patient with it. It's very important to understand that for the last 400 years, we've been indoctrinated and subjugated to the way they taught history, which was misconstrued, and there was half truths and the whole 9 yards, you know, from slavery to right now. And the 13th Amendment speaks on that. The 13th Amendment still is in play. If you get charged with a crime, you're not considered a slave. You're considered a criminal. Okay, slavery by a new name. Have you ever read that? Slavery. It's a story. Slavery by a new name. And the new name, the new name is criminal. Once you're a prisoner, you become a slave once again. Okay. But the critical race theory part of it, man, I just don't like the sound of it. I understand it in this perspective and what it's talking about. But at the same time, this country cannot progress or move forward until we fix the problems of the past. And we got to start somewhere. We got to start talking about, all these events. We've heard stories about Christopher Columbus, the good stories about Christopher Columbus. Now, my children are being indoctrinated about Christopher Columbus and how he's a good guy, right? So at the same time, we as adults now understand the true story about Christopher Columbus, right? How he murdered and raped and slaughtered millions and millions of people, okay? And he's being praised. That's a problem. What you guys take on that, man?
Go ahead, Will.
Yeah, well, I definitely agree that that the whole of history is definitely important. And I was actually when you really dig into it, you'll see some amazing things. Now, I don't know everything in regards to everything about Christopher Columbus. What I do know is he wasn't headed. I don't think he landed here. It was I think it was like South America or somewhere, wherever else. But what we do need to do is have included the whole history. So there's a lot of positive things that Black people have accomplished, but the only thing that gets taught is slavery.
That's because the winner get to rewrite history. They get to tell the story. The winner,
right?
We've been colonized, since what 1600s. So yeah, of course they're going to tell their story. My pushback is that's something the parents can teach. Like we need to be more proactive with that.
Well, hold on, Ron, because
I agree. Hold on, go ahead, Will.
With that though, there's still a lot of history in regards to Black people. It's there. It's just not being taught. So, for example, now this isn't Black history, but in the Declaration of Independence, there was originally something in there saying that one of their grievances was slavery. That was one of the reasons that they were looking to break away from Britain. But the reason that they didn't include it in there, and anyone can look it up, I think Thomas Jefferson had wrote that part. It was deleted out because South Carolina and Georgia, they wanted to keep the slavery stuff going. And most of the other states, that was one of the reasons they wanted to break away from England. Other things are that in the signing of it, in those initial documents, there were a few Black representatives that don't get mentioned. Now they're there. You can look it up in history. So even though they're the winners, they did write it, but it doesn't fit the narrative of what we would want in critical race theory. So think about if we were told about the different representatives who were there in the 17 and 16. Well, I'll say the 1700s and the 1800s. There's different, and I'm gonna include some stuff in the links, for people to look back on. There's a thing called neglected voices. I think that's what it's called. And one of the law schools, they had actually did this project, and they had compiled together the different speeches from a lot of the early Black representatives, and we were represented pretty heavy. I wouldn't say heavy, but we were well represented with who we had. And I'm not talking about just Frederick Douglass. It seems like that's all we'll know. But there's a lot out there if we look for it.
We see you, Jimmy. We see caller in the just bear with us one moment.
Yeah, let me say if you could, if you don't mind, I'm gonna make one point real quick. Because it's very important. We always talk about the year 1619. history or Black history or even American history didn't start at 1619. We got to go before 1619, okay, in 1490s, in the 16th century, in the 1500s, the Spanish and Portuguese slave trade, okay, they tipped it off. You got to understand that the people from Spain and Portugal were Black folks, and they called them Jews, okay. They were Black Jews that was expelled from Spain and Portugal, okay, and went into the Congo region, and then from the Congo region over to the Western world, okay. That's true history. In the 1500s, I think 1501 was the first slave from the continent or from Spain and Portugal that landed in South America. It could have been earlier than that. But yeah, you got to start there. And see, the problem is, I think the reason they don't teach this history is because of accountability. And I'm big on accountability because you got Spain, Portugal, the British, United States. It wasn't even formed at that time. But you got Germany, you got the Dutch, you got all these different countries who took part in the slave trade. Okay. And nobody talks about it. That's a problem. Okay. So when we go to American history in its conception, 1776 and Declaration of Independence, who was independent? It wasn't Black folks. Our true independence wasn't really until, are we still free in this system? I don't know, because the truth of the matter is we're still in a system that we are not in power economically, in no way, shape, or form. And our history is still being pushed under the rug. You know what I mean? And that's a problem. Yeah, and I agree with you. Go ahead.
Okay, so again, like when I was telling Fawn, there's a difference between history and Black theory. You know what I mean? Like, basically, critical thinking was birthed from Marxists. And I guess it was the institution in Germany who created this critical thinking. Now, if you look at the spin-off,
critical thinking, I don't want.
What is it? What critical what?
Critical race theory. It ain't critical thinking all the time.
Okay, theory. I apologize. That's why I got sharp people on here. And the spin-offs of that theory was Latino, like all these other groups, like Asians are doing it now. The gays are doing that now. And if we have those in the schools, then guess what? We got to open it up for everybody. So if there's not just African Americans in the classroom, right? So now you got to open it up to, now when you come home, you have to explain to your children about gay rights. Is that not true?
Nope, I don't. I don't have to talk about those. I don't have to talk about those rights.
Not you, right? But you're going to explain it to them when they talk about.
You're right.
They saw.
You're right.
So now we're opening up a can of worms. Because now it's not just an African American class. It's a diversity. You have the white teacher there. You have a few Asian people there. You have and the thing is with this CRT, it's basically it's a theory of basically saying everything that happens is racist. I'll give you an example. If there's a person in a store and there's a white owner and there's a white man coming first and then the Black man coming after that. Now, let's say the white man served the white guy first. They're going to say he's racist. He didn't serve me because I'm Black. If it's the other way around, they're going to find something with that. That's this critical thinking, this theory that's going on. So it just opened up too many can of worms. Now, I believe it was needed at the time when during the civil rights era, but like Will alluded to, it went somewhere else because other people got into it, and now they're adding things into it, like the feminist movement and different things like that. With what's her name, Kimberly Crenshaw. She wrote a book. Like there's so many revised books. I'm just reading the third edition. Now they have another edition with after Obama was in office. So it's just like I agree with you. We do need to know history, but yeah. So what do y'all say to that?
Real quick, Fawn had wrote, it didn't show up in the public comments, but he wrote critical race theory is another way of saying eugenics, culture, and practice. We need to study and conquer this theory. It's an inception where they plant an idea of them always being on top The theory should be conquered and overstood, not understood. Facts. That was from.
I agree.
Good stuff.
I agree.
But what I would say is, anytime you you have this theory that you go to the system that's already in place. Well, what's going to happen is the white supremacy grows because you get all these angry African Americans, and then now they're like, oh, well, we need to vote. And then they have that one guy like the Joe Bidens or whatever say, hey, I know we've done this to you, so vote for me, and nothing gets done. That's what's been happening. Ever since see, black people used to vote Republican until 1930s, and the reason why they stopped voting Republican in 1930s because Roosevelt, he gave them benefits, even though they knew that was a racist party. The KKK started from the Democrats, but they continued to vote for them. Like we get angry, and we're like, "What do we do?" And then we go to them, and then it's like the fox and the hound. They smile, and they say they got your back, and then they have another policy that ruined us. Again, in the 50s, when they did desegregation, it hurt African Americans at that moment because they started doing business. I don't know if you remember, they did that how to sell to Negroes in 1954. Go figure. It's for their benefit. That's why they did it. You know what I mean? Then you go to 1964. It was for their benefit. But they say, all right, you want something? Well, we're going to give you a sentence to take the man out the home. And then you saw 1964 to 30 years of destruction because the dad's not in the house. And then 1994, they said, oh, yeah, come back. We're going to get all those super predators locked up. They're just now getting out.
3 strikes.
We just started learning. Go ahead.
Absolutely. No, good. Finish. Yeah. Sorry to cut you off.
So my thing is, like, we learned all this stuff back in the day. Like, we all knew this. All it did for me is made me angry. I remember when I took a class in college, and that's when I started learning about this stuff, which, like I said in the beginning, like some of the stuff was false. You have to watch the black editors as well, And so anyway, when I was in class, they played Roots, and this is the first time I ever saw Roots. I'm 20. I never saw it, and I got angry. Like there was some white people in the class. I'm looking at them like I should bop you in the head. It just made me angry, but it didn't give me solutions on how to get out of this white supremacy. Well, maybe we can't get out, but like I feel like, as far as like getting out of your situation, you need 3 things. And like one of our guys talks about it, Jimmy X, he says, but you need 3 things. You need rule. You need some type of law. It could be, if you notice, Jews have a law. They have the Jewish law, and they stick to that law. That's what you call staying on code, right? Mm-hmm. Then you need family. You need that man in the house, the woman, and the children, right? And back in the day, there was the man can work all day and the woman teach the kids. You know what I'm saying? But now it's like we can't do that now because of we're allowing this white supremacists affect us. So now we have to have 2 people in the home and nobody's watching our kids. We're letting our kids do anything. So we need that structure. We need to make the money. The money is important. The Bible says money answers all things. It says that. You know what I mean? We got to get our money straight.
Yeah, but that can mean something else at the same time. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Because a lot of scriptures has been misinterpreted a lot and misunderstood and mistaught. And there's some false teachers and some false prophets out there, so we got to be careful and be aware of that as well.
You're totally right, but you do understand. If you don't make money, your kids ain't gonna eat, right? And if we continue to live as a community, if we live check to check, that's killing a lot of men. They can't even spend time with their kids because they sitting there working 2 jobs. They're exhausted. Like we need to stop that. We need to get the wealth. Look, because this is what I say. If you're a Christian and you got the wealth, you're gonna give it out. You're gonna give it away because it's your heart. You don't love the money. You know what I'm saying? That's secondary. But we need to get what we deserve. You know what I'm saying? Everybody who's not a Christian use God principles to get this money, but we don't. Now, I would rather you, Swanee, as a Christian, to have the bag than anybody else because you're going to be generous. You're going to look back. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we got to have family, and then we got to have a business.
Yeah.
Business is key. We got to stop. You want to talk? We want to talk about all the stuff that we're learning. Like, oh, we need to learn our history. No, you need to learn the fact that you have to have a business. Before corporate America came about, and when they changed the system to agriculture, when we had with farms and stuff like that, to business, to like Andrew Carnegie with the mills. Our names or their names came from like blacksmiths. They were business owners. The only way we're gonna get the freedom back is business. You know what I'm saying? Like we doing all this work for this person and they're getting the bag. We have to wake up on that. So
yeah,
my thing is, in order for us to get free from what we're talking about, we have to learn their system. They did this banking system in Jekyll Island in 1900s. They went over there and changed the banking system. That's why they could redline people, right? Redlining is huge. We have to get the bag. Like if the schools are not teaching this stuff, they need to teach. Most people, you can ask anybody. Most people don't know how to. They graduate, don't know how to write a check. They don't know anything about stock. They don't know how to get an LLC. This is how we're going to free up. We can learn about that later, because all that stuff in the 1900s ain't helping me now. My thing is, you know how to feed your family, Swanee, because you're a trade. You got a trade. You can feed your family right now. So you can get in an airplane right now, and they can helicopter you anywhere in this country, and you can make money anywhere because that's what you learn.
Mm-hmm.
That's the solution. But I'm gonna let y'all talk.
Yeah, I mean that's deep. Real quick, Will, that's deep. Laraun J, because it's very important what you said. Now, as a true believer in Yeshua HaMashiach, I'm a true believer, no doubt. But we have to understand that first of all, we got to understand that it's the 400 years of indoctrination and subjugation. We're behind almost 250 years. It's going to take almost 100 years to even catch up.
It will not take 100 years. I disagree.
No. Just hear me out. Hear me out. Now you got to understand, we don't control the system. There are laws and policies in place right now. Okay. Now we can go get the bag all day long. Okay. And what are we going to do with it? Because truth be told, we're shut down on every aspect. We don't own the media. We don't own the music industry. We don't own the movie industry. We don't own any of that. Okay. And when we try to even own that, we get shut down. You see what happened to Ice Cube. You see what happened to Bill Cosby. You see what happened to Michael Jackson. You see what happened to Prince. You see what happened to Eazy-E. All these big celebrities, Nipsey Hussle, Dr. Sebi, all these great black entrepreneurs tried to gain something, and they end up mysteriously either dying or being shut out, and just not even be able to get nowhere. And that's the problem. But we got to understand the history of it. And that's why it's important to teach history. Now, for example, the 1866 treaty with the 5 civilized nations, Native Indians, they were supposed to give us land. Okay. At that time, the Chickasaw and all the civilized nations, they signed a treaty, and they didn't uphold that treaty until this very day. Right. If we would have had land back in the 1860s, just think about that. If we had land back in the 1860s and controlled the market and controlled our lands would be passed down through generation to generation to generation, and we wouldn't even have to worry about.
You're right, but I'm gonna tell you something right now. There's 81 million baby boomers right now, and right now there's going to be the biggest transfer of wealth right now. No one knows this, so you could talk about that all day, but that's not going to help you now. Right now, America is for sale. Will just came down to Georgia and saw what is going on down here. We need to be aware of this now, because they're dying off, and the wealth is going to be up for grabs. We can't work. And also, like during the slavery, during that time of 1866, did you listen to any of Frederick Douglass's speeches? One in particular, he said, "Just let us go, and if we fall off the tree like an apple off a tree, let us fall." There were millionaires that Well, some they did because there was a lot of what I was trying to allude to. There was millionaires that came from the slave trade, like right after. I mean, right after they freed the slaves, there were millionaires at that time. See, you can't help the poor if you one of them. You know what I'm saying?
And you know, just to piggyback on it, when we talk about the Asians getting that bill in place, a lot of that has to, because Asians in America, they don't really vote. You know what I mean? So a lot of that has to do with the economic end, of it. That they've been. I mean, we know that one end, it's kind of like a political, pull to try to stuck in another group, but on the other end, they've been putting in money for years to be able to advance their causes. So and we're told all day, you gotta vote, gotta rock the vote or die.
I remember that moment too.
So
vote ain't done nothing for us, man. I'm keeping what Marloco used to say. I'm gonna keep it a bean. Voting ain't never done nothing for us, man.
That's right. That's right.
That's just the truth.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the voting is more important because like every state is their own country.
In the presidential elections, let me stand correct. In the presidential elections, voting has never done nothing for us.
Yeah, I think where you live is very important to get the right people in there. But we were never taught that. I didn't know. I just thought we had to vote for a president, whatever. But I didn't know the difference between state and federal. But, but anyway, yeah. So go ahead. I'm listening.
No, this is a fiery topic, man. A lot of emotions going because we're so far behind. We're playing catch up, and it's just see these type of things, man. I get chills right now because these conversations are so important for our community. People need to wake up and want to have these conversations, even to understand business and entrepreneurship and being on code. And how can we put this together instead of being individuals out there? I'm an individual billionaire, but I can't help my other my partner be a billionaire. That makes no sense. If I'm a billionaire, I guarantee y'all two right now are gonna be billionaires with me. You know what I mean?
That's because you're a Christian, like we were saying. It's better for a Christian to have the bag than. And that's just my
man. Just like Fawn said, we as Semites, man. We have a deep history that a lot of people don't understand yet, and it's time for people to wake up.
Yeah, I mean, well, we'll see what happens with the millennials. Because millennials is on this other thing. So, I don't know. Yeah. So real quick, we got some other questions since you're on here. Just to lighten it up a little bit. What do you think about this right here? Give me 1 second here. Who is your favorite? Who's better, Pusha T or Beanie Siegel?
Oh man, Pusha T, man, with the beats in the back. If I go with just this hip hop, Pusha T, he's dope. But as far as like raw, and like truth, I have to go with Beans because Bean is telling a story straight from where he come from. You know what I mean? So I tend to relate to people who've been through something. You know what I mean? So I got to go with Beans on this one.
Okay. What about you, Will?
Well, I'll be nice. I'll remove my finger off of the kickoff button. Because I was just about like, man, one gotta go. I mean, no, I get what he's saying. As far as rapper though, I would definitely have to go with Pusha. As far as being a lyrical genius, he's talented. I would say he's definitely in the top 10. A lot of people would disagree with me on that, but I think a lot of people have been sleeping on him, but I like Pusha. Now Beans, there was one particular song, man. That one with him, Jay, and I don't know if it was just them two, but they were talking about where Daddy been, man. That hit close.
Oh yeah, I remember that joint.
Yeah.
But I think Jay had the best rhymes on that one. But I felt this pain, man, in that song, man. Woo.
Yeah, that's deep, man.
Okay. Well, we definitely appreciate you, Swanee, man.
I appreciate
love your
y'all,
insight,
man.
Very
Yeah, thanks for having me again, man.
All right, Swanee.
Yes.
All right, peace out.
Yeah.
Man, Swanee, intelligent, man. That's a smart guy.
Yes, he is. I think we got Jimmy X on the line.
Hello.
What's going on, man? What's going on with you?
Man, y'all talking about some hot stuff on here.
All right, well, we're gonna start this off, man. Right. First off, how was your day, man?
Man, it was good, man. You know what I'm saying? Just working and chilling with my little one here. So yeah, man, it was good, man.
All right, so we're gonna start off right, man. Who's a better rapper, Pusha T or Beanie Siegel?
I like Beanie Siegel, man. I like the Broad Street Bully, man.
Philly in the building.
Yeah, man. I just like him because he made that movie. What was the name of that movie? He was Get Down and Lay Down. He just kept saying that, beating people up.
Was it what state property?
Yeah, I don't know if it was state property. It was some. He had a wife beater on with a bad saggy body, and he was beating people with a bat. And he had cornrows. I was like, that's gangster.
Man, he had the bag for a minute. He fumbled it though. He fumbled the bag. Heavy.
The bag is easy to fumble, man.
But Pusha T, man, what about I mean, because he's relevant now, man. He's putting out some bangers.
My brother gets into Pusha T. I really don't get into Pusha T.
Do you remember when he went after Drake?
I don't remember that. Drake probably erased him. Drake is big.
Nah, it was the other way around. He brought out his
he talking this Drake fan stuff. That's what that is.
He put him in a wheelchair like his character on that show.
Oh man.
But real quick, I'm gonna play a video for you, man. I want to see what you think about this. All right.
Sure.
Then we're gonna hit the topic. All right, bear with me one moment.
Black History Month you find ridiculous. Why? You're going to relegate my history to a month? Oh, come on. What do you do with yours? Which month is White History Month? No, come on, tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay, which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Do you want one?
No.
All right, I don't either. I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism?
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man. I know you as Mike Wallace. You know me as Morgan.
Okay, yeah. All right, yeah.
So Jimmy, we know you from Alabama. What you think about that clip?
Well, you know what, man? Racism is something that's going to be among us forever. You're not going to be able to eliminate racism in the United States because America was founded on racist principles. Everything about the places, from the beginning of it is racist, and to the end of it is going to be racist. You can't remove that. You know, that's not going to go away.
Okay. So you didn't answer the question, though. Do you think there should be a Black History Month? And also, the Senate just passed a bill declaring Juneteenth as a federal holiday. What do you think about that?
I'll take it. Let me tell you why I'll take it. I'll take it. Let me tell you why I'll take it. Because I'm from Alabama, okay? And from the day I was born till I think maybe 2 years ago, every year we had to celebrate Jefferson Davis Day. You know who Jefferson Davis is?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
You see, you don't know Neither one of y'all from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Y'all don't know who Jefferson Davis is. Jefferson Davis is the racist, low-down head of the Confederacy. He was the president of the Confederacy. And I was taught that in school, and I had to celebrate that every year of my life in school. You understand that? So it is a racist holiday. You shouldn't be taught that. You shouldn't know who Jefferson Davis is. That ain't nothing to be proud of. You can be mad at me for saying it, but it's the truth. But I was taught it, and I was learned that in school, right? So yeah, I don't think Juneteenth should be a federal holiday. But since I celebrate all them Jefferson Davis days, give me a Juneteenth. I'll take it.
Okay.
I'll take it because it wasn't right to do Jefferson Davis Day. You understand? In fact, it's on the same day as Martin Luther King Day. That teaches you the kind of racist place that I come from. So they would say, "You're not out of school for Martin Luther King. You out of school for Jefferson Davis."
Wow.
You understand
Know that?
You didn't know that. See, it's a lot. It's a lot y'all don't know. So yeah, give me a Juneteenth. I'll take it. Thank you.
Things
All right,
them
so
Dixiecrats do, huh?
Huh?
The things them Dixiecrats do, huh?
I mean, I'm just saying. It's a different world. People say there's no racism. I'm from the home of racism.
So obviously there is a lot of things that we don't know. Should American schools teach critical race theories?
Well, I don't really know what is critical race theory. So when you say, I tried to look that up today and couldn't find anything, but I do think that kids should be taught in school the actual history of the United States. You know, Columbus came over on the Mayflower. But you learn later like Columbus was a criminal. Okay, so they didn't really tell us all this in school, but some of the stuff I learned from movies and books and everything, they say, when the Pilgrims was there, the Pilgrims came to America. We have Thanksgiving, right? And the I don't want to call them white folks, but the Pilgrims from the Mayflower, they was finna die, and the Indians helped them with corn and things like that, and taught them how to live off the land and eat so they wouldn't die. So we forever thankful in the United States. We celebrate Thanksgiving in the United States, but those same Pilgrims eradicated the entire race of people to create the nation you know as America today. When I was a child growing up, I seen one Native American person from age 0 to age 36. I seen one Native American person with my eyes. Do you understand that? Because the people were eradicated, eliminated by the United States. You understand that? That's the country. So you say take away racism. The people came over here, they killed the Indians. They say America is the country that had the fastest uprising in the history of the world. It was built on free labor. See, you got to know both sides. I want the truth to be told in the school, so you know where you at. Because if you don't know where you at, you won't act appropriately. You won't know what you in.
Okay. So you and I had this conversation. We had a lot of intriguing conversations. But one thing that you
did
told
steal
me,
my whole thing tonight. You stole it when my baby was crying. I couldn't get you. You stole my whole thing. We'll talk about that later, bro. We'll talk about that later.
So you did tell me that you learned a lot about being black in America from your mom, correct?
My mom and my dad.
Right. So don't you think it's important for that to be learned? And when I'm not talking about the history, I'm talking about the critical thinking. I keep saying thinking, sorry. Race theory is based off of storytelling and basically storytelling on being basically black in America. Do you think it's better to be told from a school institution or from your parents?
Well, we learned in school that, like I said, we learned about the Mayflower, Thanksgiving, Jefferson Davis, Civil War. So we learned the truth in school. We learned that, there was slavery. We learned that all these things. but kind of how to feel about it, we kind of learn that in the home with our family, the actual real effects of it. You know, but they told us the truth in school. There was slavery.
Now, how old were you, and what grade, if you can remember, when they start teaching you these philosophies and theories and history?
About slavery, that slavery existed.
Yeah, all 9 that you learned in Alabama. What age did they start you?
The first grade, you learn about, like I say, when you learn about Columbus, you learn about the Mayflower, you learn about Thanksgiving, you learn about Lincoln. Lincoln freed the slaves. What is a slave? You learn that in first grade. You got to learn that.
So you're okay with learning that before you're able to critically think, read, and think for yourself, correct?
Well,
I'm not against what you're saying. My thing is, like I told the other callers, is I think that it should be taught, but it should be when the cognitive ability to process this information. You know, perfect example, college, I was able to make, process the information. But when you can't read and you don't know these things, and then they're coming home, you're teaching this, you're learning this stuff, and then you come home and you're looking at life differently because of the stuff you learned. I disagree with. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I learned all that stuff in first grade, second grade. It didn't bother me. It didn't make me racist.
Okay. You got anything, Will?
Well, let me go through a couple of things, Jimmy, and tell me if any of them you know. So, 1754, John Woolman, he addresses the Quakers, and they create a society to it's one of the first abolitionist societies. 1775, Pennsylvania has the Society for the Promoting of Abolition of Slavery. 1780, the Great Emancipation Act was passed in Pennsylvania. Those type of things, do you recall learning those things?
Let me see. No, I didn't get any of that in school.
And this is just, a few of them. The challenge that I have is that if we're going to teach it, we have to teach it all. But I agree with Laraun that, maybe at the early part where you're not able to really, have that cognitive ability, it may not be the time.
I didn't have a problem with it because, whereas Alabama's a very racist place, in certain ways, it was the era I grew up in was a very liberal era in some ways. So we were taught about that Jimmy, there was slavery.
What's that guy's name that you mentioned that was the president of Confederate?
Jefferson Davis.
Jefferson Davis. When did you know that he was a racist and you shouldn't have been celebrating that day?
I probably learned that in my 20s.
See, so once again, that's the point that I'm making. You're celebrating this in your youth years, but you don't have cognitive ability to be able to critically think about it at that young age. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, yeah, but like I say,
and you were okay with it.
I was okay with it. I'm just saying, like, wow. I was like, when I got older, I was like, wow, that's not cool. We probably shouldn't have. But I know now the schools are changing. Like, there's no state that has the Confederate flag on it anymore. They took that out. They removed that. So, but if you're not from a southern state, you wouldn't know or care about that. But they've removed all of that. But I want you to know that I didn't grow up with any hate. I didn't grow up with any racism or nothing like that. Like feeling like I was less than. That didn't happen.
Right, but you didn't grow up with any hatred towards Jefferson Davis either.
No, right? I just found out later that, he's the president of the Confederacy, and I was like, "Why am I celebrating that?"
How did you know that Alabama was racist then? If you didn't, how did you have any like personal experiences?
Yeah, once I got to 16, 17, 18, that's when it started. That's when it started. When you start to look like a man and the police can see you. Because one thing about I can be honest with when we talk about black and white things, because I'm not racist at all, but a difference between black people and white people is we don't always recognize each other's features. So we don't see each other the same. So if if I see a young black kid walking down the street, he looks like a child. I know what a young black child look like. But another race may see a tall black child and think it's a man. They don't recognize because they don't look at us like we look at each other. So they don't know all the features and everything. So when I was old enough to appear to be a man at 14, I looked like a man. That's when I began to experience, well, I wasn't allowed out, but about 16, I could be out, and not attended to. That's when I began to see that racism existed, because I noticed that there was a difference in the way that I was treated by the police and things like that.
Okay. So do you think that the only way we're going to get past, the racism, the only way we're going to be able to move forward as a society is from white people being nice enough to give up their power?
Well, to be honest, and this is going to be controversial, okay, so buckle your seatbelt. White people have not given away any of their power. Black people just won't reach down and pick up their own power and use it. They don't use it. They act like it's not there.
So what power are you talking about? What power to
the same power that the Asian people you talk about got. They got that anti-hate law, but they don't participate in the political system. What power do they have? It's the power of that green thing in your pocket. That money you can get if you want to go get it. I get on here every week and talk about that.
Well, don't you think Asians and American have a certain business transaction that they're doing?
Yeah. You never ate at the Chinese restaurant?
Mm-hmm.
Asians been getting abused since they came to America. They used the Asians to build a railroad, and the Asians figured out, number one, I got to cook for all these folks on the railroad. Why don't I open up a place where you can come and eat? And when they figured out that work, here's the thing real fast. Sorry to
cut you off, but usually when laws get passed, it's a benefit to white supremacy, correct?
No, not necessarily.
I mean, I went down memory lane. You probably wasn't on the call, but when desegregation happened, white supremacy benefited from that. Because they start putting their businesses in the black community, and you remember they put that sales training on how to sell to Negroes. So we willingly gave our money to them, and we lost our communities. Correct?
I mean, sometimes that happens, man.
And then we also have this thing, what they call school to pipeline system, right? Mm-hmm. So all the laws that they passed, the white supremacists have increased their wealth. Now, and it's just my opinion. Go ahead.
But black people not increasing their own wealth. White people gonna help themselves when black people gonna help their own self.
Well, right now, there's 11% millionaires. So we're increasing millionaires in the black community right now.
Let me give you an example. Can you hear me, Will Thomas?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say, and Ron has heard this 100 times. Let's say it, and I'm not wishing anything bad on you, but let's say you crossing the street and a drunk driver hit you with the car, and now you cripple and you got to put they got to put you back together or whatever, right? Now you got to go to physical therapy. You got to have all these surgeries to repair your feet and legs and everything. Okay. Does the drunk driver have to go to physical therapy?
No.
No, right? Is it your fault, your own fault, that you got hit by the drunk driver?
It varies. I think
No, it's not your fault at all. See, you didn't give yourself the problem of broken legs and having to go to therapy, but only you can go to the therapy and fix it. That's the problem black people got. Black people got problems. We got our problems from white folks bringing us over here and enslaving us, but they done all they can do to fix it. There ain't no more they can do. We got to go to the therapy. We got to say, hey, I want to get in business for myself. I want to have my own business, make money, climb to the upper echelon of the society in which we live. Can't nobody do that for us. We keep saying, well, I'm crippled. I can't walk. You crippled me. They're like, well, go to therapy. That's all they say. And we like, you should send me to therapy. Hey, it's a library over there. I done said it before.
All right, so real quickly, Jimmy, real quickly, we have a question from Swanee. What do we own collectively?
Well, I'm glad Swanee said that. I've been wanting to say this a long time. You know, one of the things we get distracted on as black people is there was a civil rights movement which allowed us to participate in the civics, like voting, walking on the sidewalk, using the water fountain. And to get those kind of rights, you have to come together collectively and do that. But if you want to become wealthy, that's an individual decision, because you got to have commitment. You personally got to have sacrifice. You personally got to have discipline. You personally got to have focus. You personally got to have work ethic. You personally got to have character. You personally got to have integrity. We can't all hold hands and say, hey, let's go get rich together. It don't work like that. If you want to get that money...
hold on, Jimmy. It works like that with Europeans. So,
are you European?
No.
So you don't qualify for that.
But this is what I'm saying.
Are you European? Are you European? Okay, look. The car has hit you. You are crippled. Who is going to therapy?
All right, real quick. What I'm saying, hold on, Jimmy. The whole reason why they have this stuff in school is because of what you're saying. They're trying to make this people aware of this situation, right? So you're saying it's on you, but you're saying we need to learn it. Which one is it?
You have to do both. You have to learn it and you have to do it. You have to learn it and you have to do it. You have to know, hey, do you understand that a car hit you? Yeah, I understand. Do you understand the person was drunk? Yeah, I understand. Okay. Now you understand you got to fix your own legs here in this physical therapy session. I understand that. Yeah, that's the way. You need to know where you are. You need to know what country you're in. You need to know that money make America go around. This is an economic country. It's people that come in here from places like what's that place where they can't get nothing done? Iran, Iraq, can't speak a word of English. Worth $700-800 million today. And we still saying,
let me ask you,
when you gonna give me my money? Sure.
Let me ask you a question. Was redlining real? Did it happen?
Yeah, that happened.
Okay.
So what?
So you're saying that they don't have an advantage on it because they own the plane, train, and automobile?
The other folks got an advantage, but you know what? P Diddy got an advantage.
Who prints the money?
The government print the money.
No. Wait. The government doesn't print the money. Who prints the money?
I guess the government, the bank or whatever.
That's a group there. So that's
what about the judges? What about the judges? Is that not a group of white people?
Yeah, you got judge. What do judges got to do with you getting your money?
Well, we're talking about a like basically like we're kind of getting off the topic, but we're talking about the critical race theory. These are the topics that is being addressed.
What they teach at the school where you send your kids. Why don't you control what they teach at the school where you send your kids by sending them to the school you want them to go to, by paying the way for them to go to the school where you want them to go? Send them where you want them to learn at. You gotta get your money. Everything come back to bucks, dollars. That's what it's about, baby. And if you don't put it in your pocket, you ain't gonna have it.
You're right. You're right. I can't even keep a straight face. You're right about that.
You know the truth. You know the truth. You know what America is. You know what this thing is. We on a get money mission here. That's what it is. And if you ain't got it, you're gonna suffer.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Oh man, good stuff, man. We want to definitely keep the conversation going. But you got anything you want to say to Will?
Hey, I just want to encourage everybody to stay positive. You can do it if you want to do it. Never too late to go after your dreams. Go out there and do it, man. You can do it.
Oh man, we appreciate you, man. Oh man, that was good. But we appreciate it, man. And we'll let you go.
Okay.
All right. Oh man, that was good. That was good stuff, Will, huh?
That was a great one. Absolutely.
I enjoyed it. Enjoyed it. Yeah. You got
any
last thing? Go ahead. I'm listening.
I know we started off in the middle of the storm, but man, when the sun cleared through, some definitely good information.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Fawn for stepping through and Swanee and definitely Jimmy X, man. They definitely insightful.
Don't forget from Ezekiel.
Ezekiel, I forgot about Ezekiel. Yes, absolutely. Yep. Man, you want anything you want to say before we get off?
I'm gonna just keep it, really short. This is for everyone, black, white, whatever. It's impossible to stop a man or woman who will not quit. And sometimes, you can do it on your own, but, there's also power in a group. So, if we can, end up, pushing for these same things together to better ourselves, then the critical race theory that we're looking at, while that's still a theory, we can be making new realities.
Right. Absolutely. And again, winners tell the story, and one way we need to win is we need to get our family together. We got to protect the men, because once the men is involved, a good man, I ain't gonna say every man is good, but everything falls into place. And we need to have our spirituality right, and also we need to start our businesses, So I definitely thank everybody who supports us. Everybody want to talk about media. Well, guess what? We're creating our own media right here. We definitely appreciate everybody to get on. We're going to have some great things coming up in the future. Great interviews. We're going to be supporting businesses all over, not just black businesses. We're going to support all businesses, but and that's what we're striving for. And definitely, if you're still on social media, hit those like buttons, hit the subscribe, and share this information. Share it. Share this information with people. And we'll work out the kinks with our phone, with the phone. But this was definitely a dope conversation.
Cool.
With that, man, I'll talk to you again another day.
All right, y'all. Peace, love, and be awesome.